Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I made a Laker video just now. Figured I'd make another one, fresh off the thought. Of course, we're preparing for the Miami Heat tonight, and I just want to say that my enthusiasm for the Lakers this year is not as high as it should be. I'm doing it. I'm watching the games, and it's not like I'm slowing down on my momentum. Watched all the highlights from the Heat game, preparing. Everything is still what it is. I'm still passionate about what I do. What I'm not really passionate about is the unit, man. I'm not really loving the roster right now. And I think for me, and I've said this, I think a lot of people feel this way. Some of the players on the team may feel this way. It's just a carryover from some of the same problems we've already had with the same unit to now. It's like, it's almost like, okay, we know if we make certain decisions, it can get a lot worse. If we, mortgage all of our picks, maybe we can improve the team, but the years ahead can really be bad because of that. And then you look at some of the roster issues that we've had. There's some of the same problems we've had for multiple years. Still ain't got a center that can keep up with Jokic. Got knocked out of the playoffs by the same team we got knocked out of the year before. You just get to a point where you're like, man, all right, man. You know what I'm saying? You get tired of what we have going on here. And I think that's what it is for me. I'm just a little bit hungover, I guess is the word, from some of the troubles that the Lakers have had as a unit over the past 3 years, being the same troubles we got right now. And continuity is a good thing when you have something that's getting better and you got young players that are improving, and your core is young. It's like, okay, let's just keep these guys together, let them grow together, like Houston has going on, like Utah now has going on, Minnesota with Anthony Edwards. Like, if we don't do too much, those guys are going to get better, and organically we're going to get better without having to make moves. But when your team is on the other side of the hump and you're not waiting for people to get better, but more so waiting for people to get older. I mean, we do have some young players, but it's not like they have supreme upside to where they're going to change life for you as they improve. Your team, Lakers, is a bit older, so it's like the continuity is like, okay, we're wasting time for the guys that need to be winning. We don't have nothing that can win. So, maybe people can talk their way into thinking we're a good enough team to compete, puncher's chance type stuff, but this is not what you're paying all this money for if you're Genie Bus. You're not paying for a puncher's chance. You're paying for an NBA championship opportunity, and I just don't think is what our ceiling is. I don't think a trade away or two is really going to make that the case. If we keep making trades, and then we've only made one trade, so I don't want to say keep making trades, but I think the Dorian Finney-Smith trade was a step the other way. I don't think we got better. I think we got worse as a team. I think we become more capable of putting defensive lineups on the floor that we trust can be of comparable size, and maybe have someone who can space the floor, hitting corner shots if we find him, and Dorian. But what you let go of, you needed more than Dorian. So it's like, I argue this team is worse right now. I really do think that. I think most people disagree with me, but I don't think we're better. I didn't want to keep D'Lo, but I don't know that I'm pleased with how this trade turned out, especially given the fact that I don't think we got back the better player in the trade. I think we gave up a better player in D'Lo, and we gave up future second rounders, and we gave up a young player in Max Lewis, and we brought back Shake Milton, who's not in rotation, and Dorian Finney-Smith, who's just like, I just don't think that he's going to really provide too much. I don't think so, and that's what I'm worried about. It's like the idea of him being a switchy player that can guard a lot of people and hit a lot of threes and stuff like that is great, but like I said, I ain't seen nothing out of him in that way since he left Dallas. That was the last time he was that player, like 3 or 4 years ago. When he went to Brooklyn, wasn't required of him, and I think he kind of got rocked to sleep in the conditioning area of things. And I don't know if he's anywhere closer to getting back in that type of shape, or will be motivated to, or if we can even ask him to be what it is that ultimately we need him to be. I don't know. I don't know, man. And so for me, I'm just a little frustrated. I understand that Rob Pelinka was under a lot of pressure to make some type of trade. But all in all, ladies and gentlemen, I just don't think we're that much better for the trade we made. I don't think so. I think the idea of Dorian's better than the reality of Dorian. And maybe we'll get better look at that when we get Vando back and what the division is. Maybe if Bron goes down or something like that and we made a trade for Rui Hachimura, maybe we feel a lot better about the importance of bringing in and keeping and holding on to Dorian or whatever the case may be, because you'll need his power forward size. In the event Bron goes down, you like having a plethora of people who are his size, play his position. All of that is hypothetical in a way, but it didn't address some immediate needs. It didn't address our rebounding issue. It didn't address our big man issue. It didn't address our point guard position issue. If anything, it made it worse. You just got me another wing. And while I listen to a lot of people saying how bad we needed that wing, now that we have that wing, how bad are we actually playing? And that's what it is that it comes down to for me. I thought on paper it looked fine. The trade was fine. I wasn't unhappy with the trade. And maybe I'm looking at this the wrong way. But I was never really all that excited about Dorian Finney-Smith, man. I never was. And y'all know that. I just wasn't overly excited. I just thought that the idea of him was something that people wanted to be more than what the production in Brooklyn was actually showing. And so it's like, you bringing me a guy that's over the hump, making my team a bit older and less athletic, less, capable of making plays for one another, but no closer to being able to guard Jokic and Sabonis. And, I don't need how do I say this? I don't need another power forward that doesn't rebound the ball very well. I don't need another power forward that really can't create for himself or others. That's what people were telling us we needed. That's not necessarily what the team really actually needed. Now, were we tired of being small out there, or desire to be big in every position? Sure. But if that player is not coming in to really do nothing but create more of a up and down, lacking athletic dynamic, I don't think he really helps. Like, I need Dorian to play a little more like Nicholas Batum, to where he can, in his prime, could guard a bunch of people, get 8 assists, make connective pieces, be a corner three like he is, shooter, and be a little more wiggly and bouncy than what he is. Now, the current Batum ain't who I'm talking about Batum from maybe Portland or Charlotte, when he was more in his prime. That's kind of who I need him to be. But as far as what I got, I just think player assessment at this point needs to be questioned right now. When you talk about people aiming for certain things, are we aiming for stuff that's actually going to produce, that looks like it could have real upside? Are we aiming for win now pieces who are going to be long in the tooth to match Bron and AD's age? What are we doing? Like, that's my question to the Lakers. What are we doing right now? Because a lot of people are excited about this trade. I'm not excited about the trade. And it's not that I was in love with D'Lo Russell. I wasn't. I was tired of D'Lo's antics. The inconsistency of D'Lo was bothering me, man. I'm not going to sit up here and act like I wanted him to stay. But he's only $20 million expiring contract that I have. So if I'm going to make the trade to get a Dorian Finney-Smith, now I can't make a trade that involves D'Lo that gets me something even better than that. And maybe that trade wasn't on the horizon. But if that trade ain't on the horizon, then I need to be able to identify that Dorian's trade created a problem that I didn't have before. And now I need another trade to be on the horizon after making that trade. That we didn't identify that, I think could potentially be a death blow to our playoff hopes, in my humble opinion. If you didn't realize that bringing Dorian in was going to create more of a need for a guy like Lonzo Ball or Jalen Hood-Schifino or anybody that can make a pass, then you were doing it wrong And I'm worried that you're doing other things wrong. And so that's what it comes down to. The Lakers have made so many mistakes. There's so much pressure on people to make more mistakes based on the ignorance of those who are putting the pressure on the GM. He probably made a trade that he only would make so that people would stop saying that he wasn't doing his job. And as a result, now the team needs other trades or other moves that can make this team make a lot more sense. And we may not have the ability to make those trades because of the trade we made. Now you can't go get so-and-so point guard because the only player that anybody would otherwise want is D'Lo in a trade for that guy. Now you got to start offering up Max Christie, who if you trade him, you create new holes. Dalton Connect, of whom is a young player that you don't want to give up. Austin Reeves, of whom somebody you probably don't want to give up. It's a lateral move if you bring in a player like that for Austin, at best, because you're likely not going to get a better player than Austin for Austin. So it's like, this is why I didn't really love the idea of us really making any trades, because I wasn't really sure if we were actually going to pick the right player for what we need. And when I look at the box score, I discipline myself to know that Dorian is not a box score guy. And you give me 4 points, 2 rebounds, 2 blocks, and I'm like, that's supposed to be what it is. That's what we're signing up for. But that's not good when I have several other players that have that same problem. Now I don't have enough production in general. I do the same thing with Cam Reddish. I do the same thing with Jackson Hayes. I do the same thing with Gabe Vincent. I got too many of those guys that don't give me box score production. And as a result, I'm looking at my bench and I don't have any box score production. So it's like at some point in time, we got to start valuing the things that do show up in the box score, because what shows up in the box score is production on the basketball court. It's cool that you can set a good screen and, you know what I mean, make a hockey assist, and, you know what I mean, know how to box out and stuff that doesn't show up in the box score is great. I like those things. But if we don't have somebody filling up the assist category, the rebounds category, the scoring categories, then guess what you don't have? Rebounds, assists, and scoring, for which are all extremely essential to you winning a basketball game. And as a result, we're not scoring enough. We're not making plays for one another. We're not rebounding well. And I got a bunch of these dudes that I'm supposed to be fine with them not doing any of those things. You see what I'm saying? So I'm a bit over it, man. Laker Nation, I'm a bit over it, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know that these are the times when you make assessments of people's jobs, or, you know, start looking around and saying make brash decisions that go in one direction or another, because I think I'm a bit irritated. And I don't think that's the best mindset from which to assess anything. With that being said, if I'm trying to step outside of my frustration, I'm not satisfied with the choices that have been made to bring certain talent to my team. And because it hasn't looked good, it only reinforces that frustration. You understand what I'm saying? I'd love to be wrong. I have been wrong enough times to love it. You know what I'm saying? When things have gone right, I thought was going to fail. Hey, man, can't tell you how many times I've been happy to be wrong in situations like that when it contributes to the Lakers' success. I just got to, I'm going to have my opinions regardless, though. Right or wrong, these opinions hold. And right now, I'm just not excited about my basketball team. I'm still tired of Darvin Ham, even though he's been gone for more than 6 months. And some of those issues that cater to that, frustration is still in place. Players not playing well, up and down games against subpar teams. You know, before the Dallas game, one of the things that I said was that this Laker team has done a great job of beating teams rather than they're supposed to beat. When we run into bad teams, we kick them. We don't really drop those games. Since then, we've dropped 2 games against teams that we're supposed to beat, the San Antonio Spurs and the Dallas Mavericks, without the majority of their stars. Hey, what am I supposed to say, man? You losing to Kyrie Irving lists, Luka Doncic lists, Daniel Gafford lists, Dallas Mavericks team, you got Jaden Hardy and Quentin Grimes having career games on you at the same time. Getting outboarded by a million when they don't even have Gafford on the floor. And in the city damn near burns all the way to the damn ground. Y'all take a week off and come back just as lethargic as you was in that game against the San Antonio Spurs. Now, you play good in the first half and then forget how to score, how to assist, how to rebound in the second half, which reinforces more of bad memories of last yesteryear when our team would celebrate literally anything and lose a game because of it. No matter what it is we're celebrating as a unit, our team can't get a victory. And it's the same people for the most part. It's the same human beings down there representing us, getting our butts kicked every time we celebrate anything. This team has certain traits, man. It has certain traits that, quite frankly, I'm tired of. And that we keep bringing back the same people keeps that same DNA and those traits in our lives. That's the reality of it. And I don't know if it's anybody's fault. I don't know that this is going to be better if we move people. I don't think it does. It's just the dynamic. You know, I could very easily start trading people away just to get rid of this dynamic and only to bring myself a worse one. That's not hard. I'm not saying that I'm not appreciative of the fact that this team is good enough to beat certain teams and keep us in the play-in tournament range. Like, we've been through a hell of a lot worse. But this is extending. This is lagging. You know what I mean? Usually when things will suck, it only suck for a year or two. Then we have something different. Because of how things are set up right now, you still got people on your team you're tired of. You still got the mesh of guys that have a certain type of behavior pattern to how they approach certain things, and we're still 3 years later dealing with the same problems. You know, you want to keep stuff because it works. You don't want to be stuck with stuff that doesn't work. That's why I want us not to trade our picks away, because it creates that dynamic for you. Now you're stuck with stuff. You don't have the ability to make trades to get better. That's kind of what the Lakers are dealing with. They can't get better because of mistakes that they've made. They can't get better because of stuff that they've done. It doesn't work, man. And so that's what I'm telling all of you guys. We got to get our heads together as it pertains to, and this is just talking to myself, I guess, just accepting the fact that this team has certain problems and that we can't fix those problems and that it can get worse if we try to expedite the process of fixing those problems. And this is just the team we got. This is the team you have, Lakers. It's okay when you show up to try to celebrate anybody or retire a jersey or put up a statue. You're probably going to lose the game. You got, no playmaking right now. You're probably going to turn the ball over a lot. Your defense, they're trying to figure it out. Maybe it improves. You have moments where you're really good in certain areas. Fast forward 3 weeks and you're probably going to be really terrible in that same area. Fast forward another 3 weeks, you're probably really good in that same area. It's like, that's the type of DNA of this team, man. You got one-way players. You got some guys who you're asking to do a little too much. You got guys who, if they were asked to do other things, they'd probably be good. But since they're being asked to do the things that you have to have them do, they're not so good. It's just a lot of that dynamic going on with this team. And I'm tired of it. It's not even, tired doesn't even tell this true story. It's just, I'm bored of it. It's something like that. Not quite bored either, but it's like, I'm worn out, I guess is the word. It's not really boring. It's just like, damn, let's turn on our team. What they gonna do tonight? And so for me, it's like, I try not to let the lethargy that I'm feeling, the fatigue of this, be influenced by the conversations around the team, because that could be a part of what the experience is. listening to talking heads, listening to fans. That's today's modern day sports experience. It ain't just watching the games and then walking away. A lot of people are talking to you if you follow the things like I do. You know what I mean? So they're potentially influencing your fatigue or what have you with their choices, their conversations, or the fans and what people are saying. So it's like, I think that also contributes to my experience of frustration. But I don't want us to get worse for the sake of this dynamic. You know, that whole grass is greener on the other side conversation doesn't always work that way. Sometimes it's best to stay on the side you're on. When you got a team that's pretty solid, maybe can make a playoff run, Hall of Fame players going up in the rafters in multiple cities. Like, you gotta appreciate that. You look at certain teams and their best player isn't up to par with your second best player, you know, that kind of thing. So I respect it. The cachet, the level of talent that we have, and type of attention that comes to the squad, you know what I mean? It's good. But I'm telling you, man, if I'm saying anything to you guys, I'm just saying I'm kind of tired of this. You know, because it's not just the team that's been frustrating. It's that the choices that we've made and how we utilize the team has been very frustrating. You know, and deeply irritating, I guess is what I would call it. Like the small ball point guard lineups of 3 years ago, to the Russell Westbrook nonsense, to the Taurean Prince overusage, not playing Max Christie. You know, it's been a lot of stuff that just eats away, like really eats away at your enthusiasm about this franchise right now. And you look at the history, you know, the guys talking about how it used to be so great. That eats away at you in a way too. That kind of messes with it too, because like I'm listening to Michael Cooper talk about how fantastic. And we went to 5 championships, 7 opportunities, we won 5. I'm like, bro, that ain't what the hell I'm watching right now, bro. But I got somebody on this team who is supposed to be greater than all of your dudes combined, basically, LeBron James. But the dynamic is that, man, I need another facilitator because he's not quite going to get it done. It's just, and then I'm disrespectful for saying that with my voice because dare I, like, it's just the dynamic of that. That whole thing is just, all right, man. People making decisions, and as I said, alluded to in the last video, around the idea that LeBron is a facilitator. But he's not actually a creator of plays for other people in a way that you can put that on him, have the defense looking at him to stop that and actually be successful. You see what I'm saying? He needs to be a primary scorer. And off of his immense attention, he can create phenomenal opportunities for people to make plays. But if the defense is focused on him making plays, he's going to be a turnover machine. If he's focused on making plays and the defense is focused on stopping him doing so, it's a turnover city. And so it's like that we keep on making decisions based on the lure of him being a great passer and that translating to us being a great offensive team is leaving us on the wrong side of actual offensive consistency. What I really like about LeBron James is the easy bucket opportunities. When he's on the floor, he rarely makes mistakes driving at the rim. When he gets hot from behind the arc, he can run the score up as well as anybody. That's what I really like about LeBron James. I'm not here to tell you LeBron is not a great player. I'm here to tell you that when it's time for him to be a facilitator, a primary point guard, like a Magic Johnson or Chris Paul, Steve Nash, that's not who he is, and people are acting like that's who he is, making roster decisions that would be okay if you had that type of player. And so, for me, it's like, and I see this in other walks of life, it's like, I wish people would stop believing lies and making decisions around those lies that ultimately are relying upon those lies being true in order to work out. This is one of those applications of circumstances. It's like, yo, that's not true. But you keep investing real, tangible things and money into the idea that is true. And it hurts you. And that's how I feel about some of the stuff that we've done here around LeBron. Specifically LeBron. And him being an all-world facilitator of the basketball. Yes, he makes amazing passes. I'm not doubting that. But I don't need him thinking about being a damn point guard. He's not that great of a ball handler to be asked to be a facilitator. He turned the ball over too much. And that's not new either. That's not a new thing. That's what it's always been. And I'm not mad at people believing the hype amongst fans as it pertains to that specific thing. Because ESPN has been telling us this man's the greatest passer, not named Magic Johnson, this whole time he's been in his career. But I am mad at people who are professionals, who are paid millions of dollars to do this, making decisions as if that is true. Leaving his team in the dust because of it. I am tired of that. That's what I'm also tired of. That type of thing. Because he's this all-world athlete, you don't need no other athleticism around him. Stop making decisions that invest in lies as it pertains to LeBron James and what he's going to be able to do for you. And if you're doing it on purpose for his ego, all it does is leave him not good enough to win. Because a lot of times it's like we got to believe the lie or else we're going to offend the person who we're talking about. And they're so powerful, dare we not. It's like, that's what I think is almost going on there. Not only are people afraid to tell the truth, they're afraid to invest in things that are true, that reinforce the truth being the truth. And will go down with the lie because they will not be seen as the people who won't invest in the guy of whom a lot of what is being said about him isn't necessarily true. It's like, damn, y'all really moving like that? That's like me investing in a guy that they say is an all-world swimmer who don't know how to swim. What the hell are we talking about? And so that's my thing with this team. I want to see us get our act together as it pertains to what we're doing versus what it is we can actually accomplish, and start telling, if we're not going to say it with our mouths, start saying it with our ability to invest in the players and the circumstances, the truth. Bron needs about 3 facilitators on his team. He don't need to be the guy making plays for nobody else. Austin Reeves is developing into mini Bron. So he has the same problem. The same problem. It's like having 2 Brons out there. Austin is mini Bron. He's looking for opportunities to draw fouls. He's driving at the rim repeatedly. He's shooting random 3-point shots all over the place with absolutely no contest whatsoever. He's Bron. You got 2 Brons. Like I'm telling you. I'm telling you, Austin Reeves is trying to be LeBron James out there. I know it when I see it. His shot selection, his way of playmaking, the way he drives at the rim, his motor, the whole thing. He's trying to be like the king. Problem is, I need him to be like Steve Nash. I need him to be like Jason Kidd. You see what I'm saying? In order for this to work out. And so for me, I'm frustrated, man. I'm telling you, I'm frustrated. It ain't as bad as it was last year, but it's a carryover. So because of it, I don't have much resistance to that frustration without just saying I'm slumping my shoulders and I'm going to watch this game. But if it starts going a certain way, I'm probably going to lose interest. That's what this is, man. That's where we're at. That's exactly where I am with this team, dude. If they start showing me a certain energy, like they did the last time we played Miami, and they don't really have it, and they're not really focused, I'm going to start scrolling into other things, other apps. I'm going to start doing other stuff while the game is just playing in the background. I promise you. Because that's what they're motivating within me at this point. I'm just not excited about them. I'm not. I am not excited about this team. I appreciate that I have Bron, and I know I'm supposed to be taking every bit of this moment in because he's going to retire soon, and you don't find players like this ever. He's one of a kind, generational talent. Anthony Davis, same thing. Maybe I'm taking these guys for granted, you know, maybe that's what it is. Man, you're not. If a team like Indiana wish they had even one season of Anthony Davis. I get it. Maybe I'm lulled to sleep. Spoiled Laker fan. Okay. But that's a real point of view just the same. You can tell me I'm being a jerk for thinking this way, but you can't make me, night in, night out, not think this way based on everything that we've been seeing for the last 3 years specifically. It ain't really been that bad that long. You know what I'm saying? 2020 season, we won an NBA championship. 2021, we were coming off that championship. So it wasn't like we were that frustrated in any of them years. It didn't start getting bad till the second half of 21, in my opinion. It started getting bad when we replaced, for me, this is when I started seeing signs of what it is I'm going through now. When we replaced Montrezl Harrell's spot for Drummond. That was the first sign of me saying, okay, I'm a bit irritated right now. Montrezl Harrell was playing in a certain way, and we replaced him with Andre Drummond, and Drummond didn't really know what was going on with certain things. We weren't better for it. That was the first time of me saying, okay, this season ain't like last year. We kind of struggled. We brought in Schroeder. He didn't sign an extension. I was kind of glad about that because we didn't want to pay him that much at the time. Montrezl Harrell was coming off of a 6-man of the year situation where he was at in Clipperland, I believe it was. And we brought him here and just phased him all the way out the offense. And he was helping us on the boards, helping us with energy plays, dunking the ball with 2 hands, just being a monster. And we replaced him with a guy who I thought was being a little lethargic, turned the ball over repeatedly. And Andre Drummond, I just was not. I thought we should have been continuing to go with the guy who gave us the energy. And we were doing everything we can to work Drummond into the fold, and we were losing because of it. And ever since then, this team has been slowly but surely just doing certain things that just irritate the hell out of me to the point where I'm just like, man, what they about to do now? Literally. I mean, even in the off season, not taking Cam Whitmore, going with Jalen. Like, I hate that move so much. I tried to talk myself into it that day. I did the best I could. It was trash, though. It just gets to a point where it's like, all right, man. Fast forward, you got the Westbrook crap. Everything that came with that. The whole energy surrounding that. Just how deeply, deeply bad he performed in our uniform and how we were seeming to be the blame for it. That was highly irritating in and of itself because we couldn't move him. He was on a $47 million contract. He got his fans telling us we're bad guys for not being pleased with him. Literally just being completely overly anxious in our uniform, man. He was wigging out. It wasn't just that he wasn't playing well, man. He was wigging out. That boy was having a literal mental health episode on our team, yo. And all I kept hearing people say is that we're bad guys for not embracing him. Like, embracing what, fam? He's turning the ball over every game, every time. He's taking all these shots that don't make no sense. He can't even make a damn layup some of the time. He's so damn nervous. And I'm the bad guy as a fan for not wanting to see this. We done gave up first-round picks, couple of players that were part of championship teams to get this dude on a $47 million contract for him to come here and be this bad, like, to be this uncomfortable. It's like, damn, yo, what are we looking at? And then from there, the Darvin Ham era began. And the thought that you're going to be excited about Darvin, rookie coach, but everybody's excited about him. He about to be this guy. Come in, you know, no feelings. What are you talking about? What was Darvin's statement? You know, facts over feelings. It's a brother coming in, going to set things straight. He's going to sit Russell Westbrook. He's going to put our big, strong players on the floor. He's going to have upside. We're excited about Darvin. It's going to be a smart coach. Coming in, won our championship with the Bucks a couple years back. We're ready for this new era. We moved on from Vogel. I couldn't stand Vogel no more. I thought he had quit on us in the end. I thought he had lost all will under the pressure of being a Laker, just like Russell in a different way. I thought that's exactly what we're seeing with Frank Vogel in the end. Like, he couldn't even just put a good lineup on the floor. So, yeah, we're getting this competent coach. He's going to come in straight. He's smart. He's going to do this. And then we get him here. And he's running 3 point guard lineups with Russell included. We just as small as we were with Frank. And then from there, you have that whole season where you went to Western Conference Finals, even though your regular season was terrible. Okay, that's great, but we got smoked by a Denver Nuggets team and kept losing the same way in regards to facing them. And it was just little things, like, as I've referred to a couple times in that Nuggets situation. The first time that we had finished playing the Nuggets, when we first lost to them during that stretch where we couldn't beat them that first game, we decided to tank the game. We set all of our starters, and I had just said, the Nuggets have the same damn lineup today that we just beat 2 weeks ago. All we have to do is play our regular players and play the same way we just played. And we should have no problem beating the Nuggets because they didn't have no answer for us last time. And they have the same lineup they had when we beat the hell out of them. That's all we got to do. That's all we got to do. And we sat everybody. We got our asses kicked. And we've beaten the Nuggets one time since then. That set forth the tumble forward of us not being able to beat the Nuggets at all, basically. We ain't beat them since. But that one time in the playoffs, we got that one little game last year. And we had leads in every one of those games. All of the games we lost to the Denver Nuggets, we had leads of 8 or more points. All of the games. And didn't win any of the games and lost most of those games in the fourth quarter. It's like, y'all feel me, man? I'm tired of this. I've been dealing with this as a fan, paying very close attention to this team, game in and game out, since I started doing this about 4 years ago. And it's been a slow but steady getting on our nerves type of energy, eating away at our patience type of energy. All the way through, man. And the countless other things since then that just catered to that frustration. So where I'm at today, we about to play the Heat, and I'm just like, man, whatever, bro. I kind of wish they didn't play. Like, that's how I feel. Instead of being all right, yeah, it's Laker time, yes. Now I'm saying, oh, they play tonight? Who they play? Miami? What was the last time when we lost by 40 to Miami? Well, at least we got Bron and AD out there. Could be kind of cool, right? No Jimmy, right? Like, that's how you got to talk yourself up to watching at this point. New coach, same problems. Yeah, just like, man, I'm over all of this, man. We are in a space where, as I already said, we're probably disrespectful for being over all this, but we over all this, bro. There's tangible reasons why we're over all this. It ain't just us being spoiled fans. This has been a slow burn, man. For the last 4 years, it's been a slow burn. Bad coach, bad roster decisions, locked up market, sometimey effort, sometimey production, being really good in some categories and then being bad at those same categories as I already mentioned. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this. I want my team to not have any of these problems anymore. And that's what it really comes down to. And then when you talk about trying to make the team better, now you realize you don't have enough because of decisions that they shouldn't have made, that ultimately traded away most of your future and made us not good enough to win anymore. And you got fans talking about, let's make trades to get worse. And I'm sitting here in this tired era of my Laker fandom, looking around at people saying, invest in this. In this? We've had this for 4 years in this fashion. It ain't been no good. And you want me to give the rest of everything that's going to make us even remotely watchable in the future away to improve this? We can't be serious. You certainly ain't been watching the same thing I've been watching, not as closely as I've been watching it. Not if you want me to give away the last 2 picks I got to pour into this. Hell no. Not if you behold what really the problem will be when you do that, and how bad the team's going to be tomorrow after you get over this long, sad sack of an era, this never-ending mediocrity Now you're going to be going into some Washington Wizards type years without the picks. Your team is going to be so sad. You're going to wish for this to come back. That's how bad you're going to be. At least we had Bron. At least we had Kobe when we were sucking that bad. You ain't going to even have that. Talking about mortgaging more picks so that you can get a center. What the hell is Kessler going to do 3 years from now when the best players are going to other teams? And you sitting there with LeBron James, retired, working on TNT or something like that. And you trying to tell me that's worth it to you? You're short-sighted, and you're going to regret it. I'm telling you, man, I don't think there's a good solution to this. I don't think there's a solution that you're not unhappy with. You're just stuck in a bad era, and it just has to extend because anything that you amend into is going to be worse. That's the God's honest truth, and that makes it even more frustrating, not less. Knowing that anything I do is likely going to make me horrible in the future, or make us just not good enough right now anyway, or both. And so that's really my point of view, man. I just want this era to end. It ain't about Bron and AD leaving. It's just the difficulty it makes for trying to build something that's actually good enough with the mistakes that have already been made. I don't know what the solution is. Maybe that is the only solution, is to move them. I would prefer it not, because I don't personally think that they're obviously the problem. Clearly they're not. It's everything done around them to keep them together by the people who are making choices for this roster that ultimately have left us in a space where we don't have enough to get better, but also don't have enough to find ourselves able to improve this team right now. And in the short term, and to get better, meaning in the long term, in our rebuild, in the short term, to make this team worth it to watch. I just don't think that we have the ability right now to do anything that's going to help us either way. And at some point in time, we just got to say, man, we're stuck with mediocrity. The team is not very good. They're not going to be very good. So if you're a LeBron James and Anthony Davis fan, maybe you look at this and say, well, I'm just going to enjoy my guy. But like the way I think, if I'm a LeBron James or an Anthony Davis fan, I want them the hell off this roster. And I'm being honest with y'all. I'm not a player fan. But if I were a Bron fan, I want him out of here. I don't want him on this team no more. He can't win there no more. Rob Pelinka can't do it. They done made too many mistakes. They don't have enough to get enough. I want my guy somewhere he can win. This Laker thing has run its course. They can't get better. They keep on tumbling forward, the same old nonsense. It's not enough. They don't have enough. They can't get enough. Get my guy out of here. That's exactly what I'm saying if I'm a player fan. I'm not saying none of that, because Bron got enough. You put him on the Cavs right now, they're a championship team. You put him on the Celtics right now, they're a championship team. Put him on the Thunder right now, they're a championship team. Put him on the Rockets. He puts all them teams over the hump, man. I'm just being honest. Memphis, he puts all them teams over the hump. But what it is he can do, he puts them over the hump. That's my thing. And it's like, I'm not a Bron fan, I'm a Laker fan. So of course I want to keep the guy that gives me the easy buckets and that keeps people watching, keeps ESPN putting us on TV, ABC putting us on TV. Obviously, as a Laker fan, I'm thinking about myself. I want us to win with Bron because, he's committed to us. We're thankful that he has. And all that other nonsense is just jargon that ain't got nothing to do with us actually being good enough to win. I'm just being honest. And so that's my point of view, man. I said I would have blew this thing up 2 years ago. I would have blew it up 2 years ago, man. I would have traded Bron before he had a no-trade clause somewhere and reset my situation with a plethora of picks. Anthony Davis, I probably would have moved too. Even though I don't actually want to move Anthony Davis at all, because I still think he's a phenomenal piece regardless of what your situation is. But if we're going to be consistent in regards to timelines and what makes sense for franchises and players, then we move Anthony Davis as well, because that gives him an opportunity to go where he needs to go so that he can win. And it gives us an opportunity to cash out on his value so that we can reset our situation and start over. So that's really what it comes down to, man. I'm not saying you do that now. In fact, I don't think you should, because as I said in my other video, we're there, Rob Pelinka. I don't know if you follow me on a burner or not. If you do, thank you for following me, bro. I don't doubt that you've done some good things that I appreciate against the field, or rather the status quo, which is I didn't want you to trade it with my first round picks. I like that you've been conservative with picks. I personally agree with that. But now we're in a space where we have so much data of so many different things that you've done that did not work out. And I see the same DNA of this team and this dynamic that has locked us up because we don't have enough, because of the mistakes that we've made. I can't help but just say, you know what, I don't really want you to control nothing else that is going to be so big for my franchise. I don't want him to be the guy that takes Anthony Davis and turns him into a bunch of picks, because I don't know that I'm going to get the best return. Or I don't know if I'm going to get back the talent that I actually believe in the event that we do that. That's my problem. I don't know that you're going to be able to get me that player because you keep on doing the wrong things with other stuff. Yeah, and I said, this ain't the first time I said that, but once you made the Cam Whitmore decision, that was when I thought, okay, maybe he's not the guy that needs to be rebuilding my team. He's probably not the guy I need for rebuilding my team. No, that's not a decision that I can get behind, and it speaks to his vision for a rebuild situation not being what mine would be. That's the most intelligent way I can put it. We have different visions for what a team should have on it and what it should look like and what powers us to a championship. Very different visions. I'm not saying mine is right or his is wrong. I'm just saying I believe in mine. And that's something I would have never done, man. Not unless I was told to do it by Jeannie Buss, who pays my bills. That would be the only reason why I do something like that. Otherwise, my opinion would have made it so that I've taken the athlete over the point guard, man, every time. Probably every time. So that's my thing, man. I just wish it were different. I wish I could come up here with a much more a positive opinion. But like I say, I tell the truth, man. I don't lie. I don't play the politics, none of that. I don't really think that's for me. I think what is for me is just saying, yo, this is what I see, this is what I like, this is what I don't, and this is how I think we need to move forward in order to be successful as a winning team. Maybe not the most lucrative team money-wise. That's not my expertise. You know, if you're trying to put butts in seats, I'm probably not the guy that's going to put together that team organically. I can go outside of what I believe in to help you with that if that's what you want to do, but it's not going to be my creativity that puts together something like that. I'm trying to put together something that I actually think will win. I think it'll be very entertaining too. But like, I'm learning. You know, I got a lot of learning to do about this sport, and I'm adding to it every year. So some of my opinions have changed some. But at the end of the day, man, do I want Rob Pelinka spearheading my rebuild based on my informed, educated opinion, based on what I have paid attention to so very closely? No, man, I don't want that. And I think he's, you know, somebody alluded to this on one of the contents I was watching. He's forced to play survival mode. You know, there's a from what was said, it was I think it was Anthony Irwin who said this. He was essentially saying that, you know, a lot of the coaches in the league don't believe Rob Pelinka is going to do right by the coaches because he always needs a fall guy. And that sucks, but it's survival mode. It's a survival game. When you have certain things in place that are hard to maneuver around and everything is so performance-based, in order to keep your job, making decisions that are maybe within what control is, keep your job, you probably do need to create a fall guy so that the mistakes things that seem like mistakes that have to be made don't have you getting punished by those who are saying you need to perform well in order to keep your job. Like, anybody in the position doing it the right way is going to make these decisions. But if they're going to be punished by those same decisions, how do I keep my job? Well, the answer is to create people to blame in that situation. So I think he's playing the survival game. I really do. I think he's playing the survival game. I don't know that it's not just a devil in the details of the circumstances that he's been provided based on what's there to work with. With that being said, it's tough because that fall guy need to do thing, in order for me to assess that properly, I have to look at him and say, I don't trust him. It's essentially like, I don't trust that he's going to make decisions that aren't best for him, that maybe will throw somebody or the team itself under the bus. So it's like, that's that circumstance that you have to try to sensitively assess. That really leaves you no room but to say, yo, he's in a position where he has to keep his job, and this is what he has to do, throw some people under the bus in order to do so. And the stuff that otherwise would allow him to perform well may not be possible based on what is possible around him and within the job he has. So it's like, that sucks. I tried my best to be open-minded about that, and that's the best thing I can say. I don't think I can look at that the right way. It's tough. You know what I'm saying? It's tough. If that's what it is, it's tough. But, yeah, man, assessing Rob Pelinka to the best of my ability, I'll just say that because of certain choices that he's made, leading to us having very little room to move, I appreciate that he understands he has very little room to move and hasn't done a lot of things that ultimately make us worse. But I think he has been pressured into this Dorian Finney-Smith thing. It ain't really worked yet. Still got the jury's out, but it ain't looking good. And I think other moves need to be made, and maybe they're not possible because of the Dorian Finney-Smith trade. And, look at all the stuff that I've been talking about for the last 50 minutes. I'm frustrated, man. I'm frustrated. I'm one of those guys that really try to be fair to Rob Pelinka because I think I understand his job. But I'm very frustrated. Some of the old mistakes have just come to bite us in the backside, and now when it's time to move on for certain things, you just can't. And that's a thing that could have been avoided if certain mistakes weren't made back then. And now we're here suffering those ills, and we're ready to do some things differently. We can't. So, you gotta remove that problem. And that's really where I'm at, man. I don't doubt that Rob is doing a great job holding on to our picks, but I also don't doubt that some of the mistakes we made that have forced us to be conservative with our picks isn't Rob's fault. That's my problem. I think some of the things that we have to do right now because of mistakes that he made yesterday when he didn't really know what he was doing. And that is just something that I don't feel comfortable with anymore. If I have to invest in my future in the idea that he's learned from mistakes, then I got to look back on his most recent decisions and not see potential mistakes. And that's what it comes down to. So, and then furthermore, see the, throwing other people under the bus potentially to keep himself afloat. Those two things don't invest a whole lot of confidence there. I don't have a lot of confidence to invest in him based on those two dynamics. So that's my thing, man. I'm not sure if what I'm looking at is the right way of looking at it. I don't doubt that he's, got a tough job. I don't envy the man. But at this point, I'm ready to move on based on an accumulation of everything that I've seen over the last 5 years. The idea that our rebuild is imminent. I think we should have a fresh face, not only in our GM situation, but just hire a president that can be above that GM. Hire a Pat Riley type dude, somebody that can kind of take over some of the stuff that you have Rob trying to do, so that the GM can focus on the DM stuff and the president can focus on some of the other things that Rob's been focusing on. So that's my take, man. That's my take. I've been paying attention to this team all my life, but over the last 5 years, I've been spending a lot of time on this, as you guys know. And I think we've given Rob Pelinka a great opportunity to prove himself, and just the results haven't really given us the success that we demand, man. It just hasn't. So I don't know if Genie's on board with this. I don't know, but if the rebuild is imminent, I'm probably moving on from him before making a decision that'll start that rebuild. If the rebuild isn't imminent, I probably let him see the Bron AD era through. Probably do, because I don't think there's a whole lot you can do based on old mistakes. But if we're going to start this whole thing all over and we're going to start moving big pieces for big returns, I don't know that I'm asking him to do that, man. I probably want my infrastructure in place first. I'm moving my GM, and I'm hiring my president. I'm hiring my GM. We're going to get them in here, and then we're going to rebuild. That's how I would do it, man. You need that infrastructure in order to assure that you get your rebuild off to the right start. Because if you don't get it off to the right start, you could tumble forward unprecedented failure for a very historic franchise that has a lot of demands upon success. So that's pretty much what I gotta say, man. It's kind of stressful to have to speak that way, man. I don't know who all follows me, who doesn't. I don't want to hurt people's feelings, you know what I'm saying? But that's just what it is. My name is BDL44. I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.